Ethical problems. In a professional environment, business success is the only priority for most of the organizations and individuals. And so for them, it is like a trade-off between business success and the ethics. Now, coming to construction industry, there are various unethical practices at various levels and quarters, like from contractors side, from consultant side, and from clients or owner side also there will be unethical practices. And unethical behavior commonly observed in construction industry are listed. A few of the behaviors are listed here, and some of them do not require much explanation. Bribery, fraud, extortion, this and all you can read and understand. And claim game means contractor making unnecessary false claims. Okay, and overbilling. Yeah, this I think needs a explanation. Overbilling means, and I request you all to remind me the same thing when we take up the last 6th module. Okay, and there also I need to give you some clarification on this. Now, usually what happens is, if you remember seeing a BOQ in the last semester while handling quantity surveying, I remember showing you a BOQ. If you remember that, BOQ means bill of quantities, and it is a document which is part of contract, and it consists of quantities of work. It consists of unit rate, and as well as the product of these two, and that is an amount. Fine. And usually a contractor with least quote wins a contractor, that you all know, L1 or the least quote. And suppose in the BOQ there is a line item. There are so many hundreds and thousands of line items will be there describing each and every activity. And now suppose there is in that BOQ there is a line item which is called as a per se excavation on rock. ഒരു പ്രത്യേക line item. Now for that project, suppose the contractor identifies that the excavation on rock is a huge quantity line item. See, the intention of all the contractor participants will be to win the contract. So they'll be doing some site investigation, they'll be going through the documents provided, geotechnical details and all, and they'll be they'll identify what are the potential areas where they can encash. So sometimes one particular contractor identifies that there is a huge quantity of a particular line item. I'm just taking a rough random example, say rock, excavation of rock, and that too you have to go for some chemical blasting or something, and that is expensive. Fine. Now for this project, he will try to play some trick here. How? When rest of the contractors, they quote the actual quantity and actual rate for that particular line item, and they arrive at some total figure, total amount for that project. Suppose this particular contractor, what he will do is, he will quote very high rate for that line item, and he will consider only very less quantity, very least quantity for that line item. So very low quantity multiplied by high rate will give you relatively low amount only. Fine. Low quantity multiplied by high rate. Now all other contractors, now if you make a comparison between these two, that the total amount of this quote for this particular contractor will be lesser than other contractor, probably because of this, and as a result he wins the contract. Fine. Now here is a trick. This finally he will be awarded, and the project starts, progresses, and if this is a particular type of project, say item rate contract and all, this BOQ is only representative. We'll discuss in detail later. This is only representative, and as the actual measurement, the final payment will be based on the actual measurement. Fine. The BOQ is only the tentative value, but the rate will remain same, but the quantity will be tentative. Now in the final payment will be based on actual field measurement. So now in this particular situation, if you go for the actual measurement of the excavation of rock, we'll find that it will be a huge quantity, because that was a reality which was purposefully quoted at a very low, represented as a low quantity by the contractor. And as a result, what happens is, in that finally towards the end of the project, we'll realize that the project, the total cost is much higher than, or at least equal to the quote provided by the other contractors, or sometimes even higher than that. So this contractor actually played a trick, and by using some free crate, it is called as a free crates. So we need some level of expertise to understand these kind of free crates in a project, and this kind of free crates are applied in different ways, and which we will try to discuss in the last module anyway. And money laundering. Money laundering means moving assets or cash required by the criminal activities from one place to the other to hide the sources of finances. And bid rigging also, it's a very detailed and it is a very involved practice, and it is an unlawful conspiracy whereby competitors, they join to falsely raise the price of a bid. Here the agenda is to somehow get benefit in an unethical manner. That's a single word, by various means. And cover pricing means it happens when a bidder only wants to be seen to take part, but never wants to win the occupation. So asks for a adversary for a reasonable spread cost and shows it as a real offer. Okay, I'll tell it in simple words. Cover price means, suppose there are 2-3 contractors, and if they are all in good terms, and if suppose all of them want a particular contract to be awarded to a particular contractor, fine, to be awarded to a particular contractor, then what they will do is they will have some mutual understanding, and all these people will put a quote in such a way that they are quoting very high so that they will not be selected. So their idea is only to submit a quotation just to give an impression that to deceive the owner and the consultant that this is a normal tendering procedure, but at the same time there is an they are playing with some understanding among each other, and purposefully controlling and influencing the contract. So that is actually an unethical practice. And change order games, and presenting a low bid in order to win the project, and at later stage they will through some variation order or through some other changes, they will try to reduce the to make some changes in the change orders and all that. We will anyway see in later last module. And factors responsible for unethical practices at contractors level: bid shopping, bid peddling, bid rigging, then overbilling we have seen, the other three we will see in detail anyway. And fraud, illogical request of time extension. Usually this is one red flag conditions, like whether the contractor actually needs to needs an extension, to award an extension of time, or whether they may compromise on the quality of some work, and then by some means they will increase the cost, etc. Now another important unethical practices by unsustainable practices, like disposing waste and suitable and safe, and waste in not disposing waste in suitable and safe and eco-friendly manner, and then unsafe working condition, professionals not upholding safety, health and welfare of the labor inside the work site, considering personal organizational benefits, etc. And this happens. And factors responsible, and if at all such unethical things come from the side of a contractor, then the laborers are supposed to intimate the labor officers and labor commissioner and all. They are the government employees, or they are from the government side to monitor all the all these context from the side of a contractor or from project. Okay, they are supposed to take care of the welfare of the labor force. And factors responsible for unethical practices at a consultant level, only very few unethical practices are listed here, and imposing of heavy and unfair fines on the contractor to attract bribery. If a consultant wants to get some benefits, what they will do is they will hold they will do some some sort of trouble, and they will create some sort of problem to the contractor, so that finally they will have to bribe to get the work done. So this happens. A lack of supervision. Okay, if a consultant is supposed to take care of the work and monitor it, if they fail to do that, then that's a unethical thing. And the lack of consultant experience, and they need to have enough experience, and generally they will be able to perform their service. And accepting bribery from the contractors, employers, consultant attempting to force their employers to do some unethical conduct. Everything, this one by one you will be you will experience in sight. You'll have some practical experience as you move to industry. Then bid shopping, it's a very interesting practice. Now it's called, in construction law, bid shopping is the practice of divulging means undisclosing a contractor's or subcontractor's bid to other prospective contractor or subcontractor before the award of a contract in order to secure a lower bid. So it means the idea is that there are two possible cases here. Case one, a client, there is a client who, on receiving tender or bid submission from a main contractor, there are client, then his main contractor, and main contractor will have their subcontractor. They will be giving some small subletting some portion of their work to subcontractors. Fine. Now, in case one is, there is a client and who will be receiving tenders or bid submission from main contractors, and this client, what he does is, he will go through it, the submissions, and then he will secretly reveal the bid prices and other details to some other potential contractor of their interest, with an intention to reduce the quote. So he will make a bargain with that. That is a purely unethical practice. He will receive the submissions from some competitive vendors or contractors, and without their knowledge, he will get some details, collect some details, and secretly provide it to another contractor, another competent contractor of his interest. And by disclosing this, and that will be advantages for that will be an advantage for that other contractor, and they will be able to make a quote such that they can easily win the bid, so in an unethical manner. And because here, what is so unethical here is the first contractors, the normal contractors, who are they are actually losing their opportunity, because they made a fair submission, because they worked out and that was very reasonable. They made a submission. No, on the other hand, the second contractor was somebody who got all their informations, and then based on that they quoted, and obviously they'll have some technical advantage over this. And now not only this, even the work also will be affected adversely. When the quality of work also will have some problem. That's the issue. And now you see, lowered bid may lead to cost cutting in the construction process, and primarily in the material cost and the labor cost. Instead of going for good quality material, they will adopt some inferior quality material, or same way, instead of skilled and experienced trained laborers, they will adopt some semi-skilled or unskilled labor force, and which may lower the quality of work performed, obviously. And Shopping can result in poor quality, unfair competitions, and insolvency of the company. Insolvency means even the company's survival itself will be a problem because of this. And possible general contractors to list the subcontractors that they will use their bids to honors. Possible general contractors to list the subcontractors that they will use in their bids to honors. Okay, which means so in order to avoid all these problems, it will be suggested that a contractor has to always give a list of subcontractors which they will be preferring and at their pre-qualification, so that in case this main contractor is awarded a work, then that specialized work will be given to those identified subcontractors. And similarly, the general contractor cannot change the subcontractor if the bid is accepted. Suppose a particular main contractor wins the bid, and because he will be winning the bid by considering the quotations he received from his subcontractor also, right? And that's how he prepares his quotation to the client. Now, once he wins the bid, thereafter he cannot change the subcontractor, because what will happen is, if he changes the subcontractor again, he'll try to get a subcontractor with the even cheaper price. So therefore, just to get some more benefit in that. So then, when the quality also will be at risk. So this is not allowed. And then bid peddling means, bid peddling is just the opposite, reverse of bid shopping. In bid shopping, what happens is, I think I didn't explain the case 2. Case 2 is a main contractor for submitting quote to a client, they'll be getting quotes for the specialized work from their subcontractors. Fine. Now, once the contract is accepted by the client, the main contractor will disclose the details to another potential subcontractor and will receive quotes from them in the same way as the previous, and then the previous subcontractor will be replaced by this new subcontractor at a lower quote. I mean, that is exactly what I discussed in the general contractor changing the subcontractor case. Okay, so case 1 and case 2. And then bid peddling means, bid peddling is the reverse of bid shopping. Here, bid peddling occurs when the subcontractor who is not selected for a construction project seeks to induce a primary contractor to substitute his or her company for a subcontractor on the original bid by offering to reduce its price. Means this is a reverse case. Suppose many subcontractors submitted their quote to main contractor, and contractor shortlisted a few submissions, and other few submission, because of the high price they might have rejected. Fine. Now this person, the contractor who were rejected, now tries to approach the main contractor through backdoor, and they will assure that I'll try to reduce my quote and do me the favor, and things like that. So finally, this subcontractor will try to get the project by replacing the another competent subcontractor, I mean through the back door, and that process is called as a bid peddling. This also happens in industry. And bid rigging is a fraudulent scheme in procurement action resulting in non-competitive bids, and can be performed by corrupt officials, by firms, in an orchestrated action of collusion or between official and firms. Collusion means in an unethical practice, and this forms of collusion is illegal in most countries, and it is form of price fixing and market allocation, often practiced. Game fixing, match fixing, price fixing, and all these are all unethical. Not just unethical, these are illegal actions also in some countries. Government construction contracts. Okay. Now, The typical objective of bid rigging is to enable the winning party to obtain contract at uncompetitive prices, at higher prices if they are the sellers, or at the lower prices if they are buyers. And the other parties are compensated in various ways, for example by cash payments, or by being designated to be the winning bidder on other contractor, or by an arrangement where some parts of the unsuccessful bidder's contract will be subcontracted to them. Here I'll suggest you one source for reading about bid rigging. You can search in internet. You can look at Wikipedia to get to know about this bid rigging. Bid rigging is there are multiple unethical practices which are clubbed under this bid rigging, and bid rotation, bid delegation, manipulations, exclusions, and all. And instead of me explaining it right now, I think you take time. Want you all to read it and understand. Then surely we'll have a discussion. In next session, or sometime we meet. And provisions of a professional code. Professional code of ethics. You can read this, and these are the important provisions in the professional code. You see the titles like compliance, integrity, and anti-corruptions. So these are not just unethical things. These are this could be some legal. This could be some illegal issues also. Say, for example, compliance, integrity, and anti-corruption. Compliance with what? The accuracy of corporate finances and financial reporting. So we must comply with all the procedures and protocols related to the corporate's financial accounting, reporting, and all. So that compliances should be there. That is actually part of our professionalism. And now integrity means employees. We must keep ourselves away from all that corruptions. We must be rendering good service and ethical manner and all that. Okay? And then political contributions. What can we say in this? Political contributions, professional code. Political. Okay, we'll see that. Political activity. Okay, compliance of interest. And see, individuals and organizations will have their own interest, right? Now, accepting gift and gratuities from your client or from your contractor are supposed to be an unethical thing. You're not supposed to receive any kind of gifts and other benefits from anybody. So this is very important. People will try to impress their clients by offering some gifts and all. So this we have to see. And then political activities in a professional environment. We have to keep our political alignment and other things keep it away from our work atmosphere. And then outside employment. This is another thing. And some people, they will be working simultaneously with multiple jobs and all, which is not an acceptable. It's not an acceptable practice in some industries. In some industry, it could be an acceptable one. And family members, I can say, in some organization will say that it will be unethical or it will not be acceptable when the people of blood relations are working with the client and contractor side. So suppose if there is a contracting, if there is a project where some people of blood relations are working on with the two parties, two organizations. In such situations, I think some organizations will not be that will be against some organizations' ethics. And even you may be knowing, even in the conduct of our university examination or even university examination, if any of our if we are an invigilator, if any of our blood relatives are studying in that or appearing for that examination, we are not supposed to invigilate. And so usually this happens, and so such people will change their room and they will take up some other room. And halt for invigilation, and now disclosure of financial interest. Uh, some certain informations which confidential data we're not supposed to disclose. And then employee client vendor information. This is about various informations in the which will be available for the employee, but that employee is supposed to maintain the confidentiality of those reports. And then employment practices such as workplace harassment. This is a very serious and grave criminal offense if any such harassment cases are reported. But the kind of action how organizations respond to this is another big question, because sometimes they may take a very fair decision. They will stand with the people who are affected by this, or otherwise they'll be standing with they'll show all the gender discriminations and all that. And then equal opportunity for all the people who work in an organization. Then diversity, it is necessary to maintain a diversity in that organization. And if somebody chooses to recruit the people of a particular category or type, then that again is an unfair mean. Then fair treatment of staff, treating everybody in a fair manner. Then work family balances, the timing balances. Anyway, there are some clearly well laid regulations about the treatment of employees and all. So apart from that, we are supposed to treat them in a very to help them balance their family and work. And then discrimination, there should not be any discrimination. Then fair labor practices, all that you can read, and provisions of professional codes. Then environmental issues, environmental related commitment to the sustainability. So this is again it's all about the ethical values of an organization. Some organization they will choose not to indulge in businesses which are not adopting sustainable practices. There are you can cite various examples and in this case. But whereas some organizations they're not much they don't pay much attention to this. And employees health and safety, some companies they pay utmost value to the health and safety of their employees, whereas some organization that's not their priority. And then ethics and compliance resources, ethical advice helpline. If you have any doubts, just to get the helpline, there is a helpline available, then to get some advices. And then a reporting procedure, if any unethical issues are observed, then how to take it forward. And then anonymous and confidential reporting hotlines, and then summary investigation processes, and so many things applicable for both government sector and the private sector organizations. And internet social networking and social media, internet and social network use at work, and prohibited site and content. And then policy regarding post about the company work, product or co-workers, and online relationship between manager and their reports, and relationship between third parties, procurement, negotiation, and so many things. I think you need to spend some time reading all about this. Slowly we'll be able to develop our perspective towards this professional code. It is very, very important for us. And then role of professional bodies means these are some of the listed professional bodies related to civil engineering: Institution of Civil Engineering UK, IC, and Royal Institute of Chartered Engineers, RICS, for the QS, and the Institute of Engineers for Engineers and Project Management, the Institute PMI for PM, project managers, and then like that you can read. And and they have a specific role to play in industry, like for professionals. The professional bodies are like are organization whose members are individual professionals. In some professions it is compulsory to be a member of the professional body. In others it is not. I think I need not read it. You can read it but taking time, sufficient time. Okay, we'll wind up here. Then I wish all of you to go to that Wikipedia, bid rigging, bid shopping, bid peddling, etc. You try to read it carefully and understand. Okay, then we'll take up some case studies and all. Thank you all.